Gurmahagut, or whatever finished, Gurmahagut. Minister, I want to wish you well in your new post. The first time I think I addressed you in this role, and I do wish you well. And I know you have a hard job to sort out, because I've raised many issues before about the Prison Officers Association and what's going on in that association, and it's totally unsavoury and needs to be sorted out. The whole issue of justice for the Omagh bomb families, which were abandoned and never got the justice they were promised by your predecessors and your previous Taoiseach, and indeed many of the Niall Malai case, and there are countless cases out there that need justice for our people. Minister, it's really, I'm really shocked that you would slip in this part of this legislation for the vulture funds especially. The bill is called the Civil Law and Criminal Law Miscellaneous Provisions Act 2020, intended to primarily deal with the issues surrounding COVID. We all support that. But now hidden in Chapter 3 is the section dealing with business records. Very murky, very late, and we were on a holidays here, not late, but in the last hours of this Dáil. Section 3 of the bill is designed for vultures by their well-paid legal advisers to remove any protections for people from vultures. Today, Fianna Fáil, it seems Fine Gael and the Greens want to push ahead with a little-known bill that seeks to hide what is very devious attempts by this coalition to get around the hearsay evidence rule. The 150-year-old law that has stopped vultures in their tracks. One of the only ones that has done so. In a nutshell, the vultures have demanded that the government enact legislation that allows them to get around the hearsay rule by introducing, and I quote, admissible business documents from third parties. That currently has no legal standing in the courts. No legal standing. There are photocopies of original documents, and they have been lost, destroyed, or not available, or many other reasons. The bill will also allow photocopies to be allowed into evidence so that a family can be evicted on the flimsiest of evidence. It's just truly shocking. The bill attempts to undermine the independence of the courts, to look at a case fairly and impartially, and seek to tie the hands of the judiciary so that vulture funds continue with their evictions. And they have done right through COVID, in spite of getting promises that they wouldn't. This proposed bill in the lower house will, in a matter of days, be signed by President Michael D. Higgins. Over the years, there have been pushes to have this Hearsay Evidence Act taken out of the law, Book of Justice, by the Justice Law Reform Commission, as well as other parties, with vested interests in its removal. It is understood that heavy lobbying by vulture funds and legal representatives to the Department of Justice following the recent judgments, and thus the concern is that the government have jumped for the job and did their bidding. And that is shocking. We're all the time railing against what's going on with these vultures. Former Minister Michael Noonan said they were welcome to our shores. Vultures are not welcome anywhere, because we know what they do. Vultures, when sheep and young lambs are out in the field, they take the eyes at them. That's what they're like, vultures. Craven people. As I said, it's understood that the heavy lobbying has done this. If the bill passes all stages and signed into law, the balance of power will automatically be with the vulture funds, and they will not afford any protections to family, farm or home or in business. TDs of all parties and independents need to step up to the plate here to oppose this bill, and I'm glad the amendments are down. I'm supporting the Sinn Féin amendments. If you let the vulture funds dictate how to run the country, then you're allowing a grievous injustice to prevail and punishing those who have been fighting not just battles and the courts for many daily battles for many years. Minister, it's a shocking indictment on the present government and where they're going. I also want to bring mention to a case, Minister, where the important issue of justice would like to raise with you development deep importance to all citizens. And the Chamber, on July 9th of July, European Court of Justice issued a damning judgment against the nation in respect of handling all maritime tragedies investigations, finding clear and obvious fault in the fact that the Department officials should not be in supposedly independent Marine Casualty Investigation Board. Of the 5-person board, 2 of the members have been the Chief Surveyor and indeed the Secretary General of the Department or his appointee. An additional requirement for compliant officials is clearly set out in the European Directive, which reflects international law. This is a damning indictment, Minister, on our Marine Casualty Investigation Board. And I've been raising cases here, and there are cases in Whiddy Island that go back many cases all over the country, and down off the south east coast as well in Tramore. The ECJ judgment also explains that independence is critical in order that we learn from the tragedies and other lives are saved. Ireland has definitely failed to put in place suitable arrangements within a clear conflict in place, where officials have effectively been investigating their own regulatory framework and supposedly making recommendations themselves. Following the judgment, I wrote to the Minister, Minister Nocton, in relation to the failed reports regarding the deaths of my constituents John O'Brien and Pat Esmond off the Helvig Head in 2010, and all other people who have lost, led investigations with conflict in place, namely 300 or so reports. In relation to John O'Brien and Pat Esmond, RIP, the tragedy, due to these fundamental failings, I have been reliably told that full information was not included into the MCIB report, which had the effect of compromising the Garda investigation and needs to be investigated. I am happy that the Minister has now, or the Garda Commission has now directed the Garda Criminal Investigation Bureau to reopen this case and look at it. And I thank Mr Michael Kingston, and the Maritime Lawyer, and I thank Anne-Marie O'Brien for doing sterling work in an effort to get justice for her late brother and his colleague John Esmond on that fatal day, and a beautiful day back 10 years ago. Those families need justice. Many of the other families need justice as well. Minister, on the coroners, and it's referred to this bill as well, we are losing our coroner in South Tipperary, Paul Morris, an excellent legal person who was given sterling service, and he was losing him. And now we're being pushed in, the North Tip coroner is taking over in South Tip. Tipperary is a long county, over 120 miles long, and the distance alone. And coroners' courts are very important, and people, when they have tragedies and sudden deaths, they need. And the coroner in South Tipperary has been always much busier than North Tip. And it's a retrograde step, and a downgrading of our court services again, and another loss to our town of Clonmel. And I want to wish Paul Morris a very happy retirement from the job. He's done a great job, and I wish him well. But look, we need to have our coroner in place in South Tipperary, as we always had. So there's cuts everywhere. But when it comes to vulture funds, we want to support them. We want to pass legislation here, literally in the dead of night, here this evening, to ensure before our break for our holidays, to allow the vultures carry on their murky, seemingly disdainful carry on. They've been doing it through COVID, and they're continuing to do it. And I'm not supporting this bill for that reason, and I'm voting against it.